How's it going, everyone? We are back again with another day of DECKSMAS, and yep, I'll admit it, I'm behind. I'm a whole day behind. Yesterday, I had to do a whole bunch of college stuff, and now I'm a whole day behind. So expect a double upload today. Um, right after this one, I should be uploading the next Diamond DECKSMAS video. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into today's diamond feature, and that is Diamond Gorthion Ultra, which is always a big guy, able to pick up 2 cores really easily with his magnet. And he's also very notorious for having a really absurdly overcosted Evo, especially when you consider Hayas's card pool in terms of Evo removal. But nonetheless, we love him anyway. He's a Diamond Bakugan, so we're going to do a profile on him. Here's Hayas Gorthion Ultra, 600 B power, 2 damage, and he's got a magic shield, which of course you're going to use that plus 650, and then a regular shield, which I'm choosing to use on Aqua's Darkest plus 400B. And now the reasoning behind that is because the rest of the team is composed of Aqua's Pyravian Ultra and Darkest Cubbo. So this episode is going to be kind of different in that it's a rough attempt at a control deck. Now I haven't seen too many control decks floating around on YouTube, so this is going to be kind of a rough one, a rough template, something for you to think about. I'll feature some different cards that you might be able to consider in a control deck if you want to make a control deck kind of like this. And also, I want to make a note that with every Diamond DECKSMAS video, I'm going to try to include at least one more unique card from the deck, because, I mean, frankly, at this moment in Bakugan's sort of like metagame, I guess, well, there isn't really a metagame, so to say. More of like just a set of cards in each faction that we know are good. And by we, I mean like just the community in general. Just a set of cards that you know are always good, and there kind of aren't too terribly many options right now in the game for like deck variation. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to like give the spotlight to some different cards and see like maybe if there are some unique cards that maybe aren't being considered right now that might deserve to be considered perhaps. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into Aqua's Pyravian Ultra and his cores. So he's got 2 blue shields, and of course we're carrying 2 plus 650B blue shields. And then Darkest Cubbo, which I have 2 more Aqua's Darkest plus 400B shields. So obviously the goal here is to roll your Gorthion on a blue magic shield, or at least 1. I mean, he's able to pick up 2 pretty easily, which is nice. And then leave the regular shields for the Aqua's Cubbo, or the Darkest Cubbo and the Aqua's Pyravian. So let's start the deck profile as I have been doing with the Evos, which the Evos are going to be kind of limited because no AA, sad face. So I have 0 copies of Aqua's Pyravian Ultra, but I do have 2 copies of Darkest Hyper Cubbo, which, if you're not sure what that does, so Darkest Hyper Cubbo, 2 cost, 400, 8 damage, underdog. If this opens, if it has a lower B power than the opposing Bakugan, your opponent must discard a card, and that is just an awesome control effect, like a hand control effect. And that is going to be like kind of the theme of the whole deck profile, is just, it's more or less a control deck, and I try to cover all bases of control here. And then of course, not forgetting that this is the Diamond Gorthion video, I've got 2 copies of Titan Gorthion Ultra, just because it has an effect. I know that the 6 cost for it is not very good, but it has an effect that destroys Evos, so that's kind of like Evo control. That covers that. The Hyper Cubbo, of course, is where the hand control comes in. And it's 6 cost when you play this, destroy all other Evos. And that's pretty nice if you're able to manage to get into late game. And as I said earlier, no copies of Aquos Pyravian's Evo because no AA. So there's the Evos. I'll swipe those to the side. Now for the action cards, the classic 3 Deep Dives, 3 Dark Waters. This is going to be kind of like a very, very common theme across any deck in this whole series that contains an Aquos Bakugan. It's more than likely going to have these cards, just because they're an excellent reroll package for Aquos. And then also for some more 1-cost actions, I play 3 Holy Flames. Now, of course, you're not playing any fists, but if your opponent happens to have a fist and you really need that 600 B power for the 1 energy cost, you could always try to steal one of theirs on a reroll. And there you go. There's the 1-cost actions. Let's move on now to the 2-cost actions. And first off, 3 Light Scourge, 2 energy plus 400 B, domination plus 800 B. Instead, if your Bakugan have the most cores, you can get this off kind of easily with Gorthion, just because he's so good at picking up 2 cores. Not as good as, like, not the best Bakugan at picking up 2 cores, but he's the best, one of the best among the lineup here. And Light Scourge is always going to be good, maybe until the 4th card set might have a card that replaces it. Now, for the rest of the 2-cost actions, this is where we get a little bit more of that control feature. So 3 Garganoid's Gaze. I don't think that this has been featured in this series so far. So 2-cost action, destroy a hero with cost 4 energy or less. So we've got the Evo control with Gorthion, the hand control with Darkest Kubo, and now we've got a little bit of hero control in Garganoid's Gaze. And you probably are expecting this in the what with the Aquos and what with the control deck. You got to have your 3 Blinding Inks, negate an action card that costs 3 energy or less, just because actions are going to be the most common thing that you'll see in this game. Now, with Garganoid's Gazes, you might not come across a deck that has very many heroes at all, so that might not be as useful in all matchups, but Blinding Ink is always useful in all matchups. So, lastly, the 3-cost action cards, 3 Hurricane Winds, and 3 Wave Slashes. I've already explained my choices for this in several other deck profiles, so I'll leave it at that. That's all the actions. Next, just 3 heroes. And this is another new card, just for the sake of making up for the fact that there's not very many Evos in this deck, and you're trying to rip Evos away from your opponent, but you might need a little bit of extra B-power edge, so that's where Shargo Ronin comes in, the 1-cost hero. When you open a Bakugan, it gets plus 100 B. I know Nerdy Friends is a huge fan of this card, and so am I, kind of, because if you play a reroll on this, you can stack its effect, so you can roll, open, get plus 100 B, and then roll, open again after playing a reroll card, and then you could stack that up to plus 200 B. And you can do that for as many times as you've got rerolls and energy. So that's really fun, and I'll probably be including this in a few more decks that are more hero-centered. Oh, I'll put that in the middle, I suppose. Yep, so that's it for the heroes. Now, here's another point of difference in this sort of control deck. It's got 9 flips. 3 Darkest Snares, which is 0-cost, stop a Bakugan holding a blue shield. 3 Confuses, 1-cost, stop a Bakugan holding a red fist or blue shield. And then, of course, you're running Darkness, so you gotta have 3 Pact of Darkness. Now, my reasoning behind this is these are not the best Bakugan in the game by any margin. Those power creep boys like Aurelus Hydronoid Ultra and Pyrus Nobilius Ultra and Aquos Kubo, those are the power creep kind of boys, and their commonalities, well, they've all got blue shields and or red fists, and none of them are Darkest Bakugan. So all 9 of these flips are basically in there just to counter those power creep Bakugan, and also to like sort of stall out the game to get yourself to those counter pieces, to the control pieces in your deck, so that you can eventually, sort of in a grindy game kind of way, as is the case with control decks, eventually get the edge and steal a win. So that's the deck profile. I hope you enjoyed. I am going to try to vary up the card pool in each of the decks in the future, just to showcase like a lot of not only the best of the card pool that year one has to offer, but also some more niche choices, some more tech choices that might not necessarily be as good, but could still be maybe underrated in the community right now. And yeah, thanks for watching. We will see you next time.